one of those dinners.
Apparently I'm just too close.
One of those dinners. Have you enjoyed your dinner? Now I'm the after dinner speaker. Right, okay. Not too difficult questions, please. I was going to say, right, favourite story, Thames of Androzani, favourite monster, Cybermen. Now you have to give me something else to ask me.
Well, welcome to Scarborough and the first interview of the day with the wonderful Peter Davison, who I interviewed back at York. It was earlier in the year, and it was great. He's a fantastic guy. I love interviewing Peter. So we'll get straight on to it. Welcome, Peter. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of people will recognise you from Doctor Who and All Creatures Great and Small, but for me, it was when you read Alice Through the Looking Glass on Jack and Ori. Yes.
Wow, yes. Jack and I did a couple of those Jack and Oris.
Yeah.
They were fun to do. Sometimes they were on location. They actually take you outside and take you to the farm or something.
I was like, Jack and Ori it was just my childhood. I listened to those stories. I think it was you and Bernard Cribbins reading them, and it was just.
They were fun to do.
So what was it, when you were doing them? What was it like reading the stories? I mean, did you have them on a script in front of you?
You had it, you had it on an autocue.
Yes.
So you just sort of read it. Obviously, you had to read it a few times before, so you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
But they generally did them in one afternoon, one day. Then they went out in 15-minute episodes on BBC.
And they always had me hooked. I was always hooked. I need the next one. I need the next one.
Yeah.
But from there, there was Tristan or All Creatures Great and Small. Now, how did Tristan come about?
It was quite early on. It was my third job on television, and I'd done a series the year before called Love for Lydia, which I thought would be my big break. Turned out it would sort of slip by without anyone noticing. And so I went up to All Creatures, and I think they liked the idea. They asked me, I sat in an office at the BBC, reading the script, and the producer asked me if I'd like something to drink. And I said, a cup of coffee. So I got this cup of coffee, and I was trying to read the script on my knee, and I somehow, I don't know, I spilled the coffee all over my trousers. And I still think to this day, something that it was really awkward, and I was trying to do this and brush the coffee off the script. And I think when they'd seen all the people they saw for Tristan, and they thought, who did we get to play this part? And they thought, how about the idiot who spilled coffee all over himself? Because it must have stuck in their mind, I think. So anyway, I got the part, and it was terrific. Next thing I knew, I was in the Yorkshire.
I was going to say, what was it like coming up north and doing the filming?
Well, I know it sounds terrible. I was born in London, South London, and I had no idea the Yorkshire Dales existed. I'd driven up to Scotland, but I'd never turned off the A1. And I thought it was just all rows of houses and mines. I know, I'm very sorry. But I just never, when I turned off, I remember vividly turning off the A1 at B-Day, and suddenly this whole landscape opened up, and I just had no idea it existed. And we had a brilliant time. We filmed the first block for about 2 months, I think. And it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Because playing Tristan, you played him for a while and then left,
yes.
And then came back.
Yes. Well, what happened was we did 3 series, and then we finished, and that was meant to be the end of it, because we took the books up to the war.
Yeah.
And we all decided that was far enough. We explored all the stories, and we finished. And we all went off and did different things. I went off and did Doctor Who. Chris did a show in the West End. Robert Hardy went off and played Churchill, I think. And then a couple of Christmases after that, they said, how about just doing one last Christmas special? So we did that, and everyone just enjoyed it so much that they then said, how about doing another series? We were like, oh, okay. so we all came back. And then I left again, and I did Campion, and Very Peculiar Practice. And when I finished those 2 series, All Creatures was still going. So they said, do you want to come back for the final series? So I said, yeah, okay. So we actually didn't finish until, I think, 1989.
I was going to say, yeah. So, in All Creatures, you played, Robert Hardy played your brother.
So
I was going to say, in All Creatures, Robert Hardy played, it was your brother.
Yeah.
So what was your relationship with him?
Oh, well, I just loved it. I mean, he was a very, very experienced actor. He was good bit older than me. And we had lots of scenes together.
Yeah.
And he was inspirational. He was a very unique actor, Robert. He never did the same thing twice. I know it sounds weird, but when you're doing television, what most actors do is over the period of rehearsal they will refine the way they want to play the part of do a particular scene, and then they will do it. Robert, because he was a stage actor and had done years on stage, couldn't quite get the hang of it. So every time we did a scene, he would just do it differently. So I had to get used to playing with this man. In 1 minute he would be shouting at me, and then he would be whispering viciously at me, then he'd be smiling at me, and I had no idea from one take to another what he would do.
You had no idea which one you were going to get.
So I had to respond. I had to try desperately to keep up with Robert Hardy. I obviously managed it fairly well because he was the one who said, I think I was originally meant to be in about 5 or 6 of the episodes, because I was meant to go off to either college or then join the Ministry of Agriculture, and he said, I like the way we work together, could we be in more episodes? So I was in virtually every episode except the first one that when I was doing the series. So yeah, he was a fantastic experience.
Fantastic. Moving on to Doctor Who,
Yeah.
I know it's what everyone wants to hear. How did the part of Doctor Who land on your lap?
Okay, so I was literally, we finished All Creatures. For the first year or so of All Creatures, on the production team was John Nathan Turner. Then he left to join Doctor Who as producer, big promotion. So he went off, and we had got on very well when we had been doing the series. And then I finished All Creatures, I was sitting at home, I think I was doing a sitcom. And the phone rang one night, and it was John, and he said, how do you feel about being the next Doctor? It was as simple as that, and I was fairly speechless because it was just about the last thing I ever expected. You know, you dream, when you think about getting a part in Doctor Who,
yes,
when you're an actor, and I never thought about that. And so he said, well, let's meet for lunch. And I planned at the lunch to ask him all sorts of questions because I was concerned about, typecasting. I was quite young, and my career was going that way. So I thought I would ask him, very important questions about what exactly he intended to do. And then he got me drunk, and I said yes. I said yes before the pudding arrived. So that was it. It's too late now.
You didn't even wait for you to finish your pudding.
Yeah, it was good. I don't regret it.
What was your most memorable moment while playing Doctor Who?
Gosh, that's the difficult one. I remember meeting the 3 companions, that I started off with. We had this meeting, and I got the impression, I don't know if they liked me or not, but I got the impression they were relieved it wasn't Tom Baker. Because I think Tom had become over the years quite difficult in terms of the Doctor. I mean, it was really, I think, he'll admit that now, but it was time he left. Every time he did, because he didn't like I don't think he got on particularly well with John and the script writers. And, when you do a part for that long, you just tend to get a bit grumpy.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I met Tom, I came along to the studio to do the regeneration scene. And I opened the studio door to go sort of wait outside, and all I could hear was Tom screaming at people. I had no idea what it was about. And I thought, oh no. we ended up doing the regeneration scene in 2 minutes at the end of that day on Tom shoot. And I think it was that pressure that we were always under. You know, we didn't have enough time to do the series, to do the scenes properly. It was always frustrating. But I was meant to do that regeneration scene in the afternoon, and it was done at 5 to 10 in the evening. So I think that's what contributed to Tom's frustration. And I didn't find that out, of course, later till I started. And you realise, how can we get this done in 5 minutes?
Do you have a favourite Doctor?
Of the classic Doctors or the new Doctors? What do you say? Or will you put them all together?
All together.
Okay, that's
Excluding David Tennant.
I think David did a fantastic job. He was a huge Doctor Who fan when he came into it, and
you could tell that by the way he played it.
And can I just say at this point, in this reference, there's this thing that has gone viral with me holding up a sign.
Yes, there is.
He's not special, and it's now been repeated. In fact, I'm thinking of suing the copyright.
I believe that there was. There was he'd done it to Ty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but my point is that I wouldn't have held up that notice if he wasn't special.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it if I thought he wasn't special. So it's just a funny gag, and I didn't even mean it to go viral. I did it. It was at the Wales, I think.
Yeah.
I held it up as a joke to send to my daughter, so I sent it to her. And of course, she, being the queen of social media, stuck it on Instagram.
It went viral from her straight away.
There we go. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yes,
so
favourite
David
Doctors.
did a fantastic job, and I think certainly if you're a classic Doctor, you have to. I think Patrick Troughton was
yes,
because he was the first regeneration, and I had watched William Hartnell on TV for 3 years. And I was absolutely prepared to hate Patrick Troughton's performance, but he sort of won everyone over, literally in the first couple of episodes that he did. And if he hadn't got that right, none of us would be here.
I was going to say the first regeneration is going to be the hardest one because
no one had ever thought about it. It wasn't. It was only that William Hartnell had done 3 years and he was getting ill and he couldn't continue, and the series was very successful. So some bright spark at the BBC thought, what are we going to do? We don't want to cancel the series. How about making him regenerate into a different actor? So that's how it started. And that's why it's kept going.
Fantastic. Talking of David, what did you think of David's portrayal of the Doctor?
David, my son-in-law's portrayal of the Doctor.
Yeah, what did you think of his portrayal of him? If you were going to critique it,
he was alright.
It's okay. He was passable.
He did use. I claim I'm the first person to say run, which David then picked up on quite a lot. No, it was great. It was great, and eventually I did work. I actually worked with him before in something called Mrs. Braggin's Mysteries, but we hadn't really got to know each other. But then I got the call to do Time Crash. During David's was the first or second season, I can't remember. But we did Time Crash, but I agreed only to do it if he'd marry my daughter. Because,
it worked out well.
Getting her off my hands was most important.
It became his problem then.
His problem. I still think that it's very nice to have a son-in-law who's a Doctor Who as well. It's fun conversations at lunchtime. Sunday lunch at the house. But I think it's because the reason they got together, I kind of saw it coming, because obviously Georgia was very, very beautiful, and she did a fantastic job in The Doctor's Daughter, but she was also uniquely unimpressed with David. Because he was Doctor Who, and she would just say, "Yeah, my dad was Doctor Who too." So
it was nothing special to her. He was like, "Oh, I'm the Doctor." Like, I grew up and my dad was the Doctor.
It was very good. It was very good.
was going to say, I said it at York and I'll say it
I
here.
didn't really finish the question about, you asked the question about...
David, yes.
No, I just thought he bought, you know, when the new series came back, he was great. And Chris Eccleston did a fine job, and he had some, you know, Russell T. Davies had written some brilliant stories. But I just thought that David brought that passion and that love for the Doctor that he put into it.
Of the new Doctors, he's my favourite one because when he's acting, his face is so expressive.
Yeah.
He just seems so happy to be there.
He was just loving every minute of it. Which is why I think now he's gone back to it.
Oh, when they announced that, I was like, yes, dreams do come true.
You can't resist it, he's like a drug. Let me play the Doctor.
I went to the phone call, let me Doctor again. Yes, 1000%, yes. Again, I said it York, I'll say it again. I always thought there should be an offshoot with your daughter when she played the Doctor's daughter and she went off.
Yeah.
I always thought it would be nice to follow her story and have like a TV series to what she did.
Yeah.
I'm sad there wasn't.
You know, that's the extraordinary thing. I don't quite understand what happened because when in the original version of the Doctor's daughter, she died at the end, which I know she did in the story too. But then she came back to life. But in the original version, she didn't.
She just died.
She just died, and it was, I think, I was right in saying, Stephen Moffat, who was about to take over, came back and said to Russell T. Davies, don't let her die. So they changed the story, and she ended up flying off around the universe, which I thought was an absolute opportunity.
It was a total setup. I was waiting for it. I was like, yes.
Have a spin-off. But it didn't.
What is she doing? Where is she?
It didn't for some reason happen. Whether that was because she was busy having babies for 6 years, I don't know. But it didn't happen. But she does the big finish story.
They could have brought the babies in.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I still think it's impossible that she will make a reappearance at some point.
You can always hope.
Yeah.
I'll just keep watching, waiting for it to turn. Now, you've also done a lot of theatre work. You've played such parts of Lysander and Midsummer Night's Dream, Amos Hart in Chicago, King Arthur in Spamalot, and Professor Callahan in Legally Blonde.
Yes.
How does it differ being doing the theatre to working on the TV?
It's a different experience entirely, obviously. But what I find is I tend to love the one I'm doing. Theatre is great because you get to you're playing one part, which you might think is boring, but you get to try different things every night. And some nights it will go fantastically well with an audience, and you think, right, that's it, I've cracked it, that's the way I have to do this part. And the next night you'll do exactly the same thing, and there's no reaction to it. So it's hard to kind of pin anything down.
Different audiences
But
react to
you're
different
always
things.
trying, and even if it goes horribly wrong, which occasionally it does in theatre, those 800 people will leave, and another 800 people will come the next week, and so you think, I'm going to have another go.
Just try again.
So it's whereas television, or film, what I love about that is that you are ending up with a definitive product. At the end of you've done it, you can say, this is what we worked on, this is the series, this is the film, or whatever it is. With theatre, the frustrating thing is, once you finish the run, it's gone. It's just done. It's just a memory. So I just find I don't really have a favourite. Although as I get older, I worry if I won't remember my favourites instead. So I think probably now I'm very happy to do things I'm doing on TV. If someone came and offered me a great part on stage, I dare say I'd do it, but it would be terrifying.
I suppose because it's live and one mistake and everyone sees it.
But you like I find I like the one I'm doing at the time.
Yeah. I was going to say one of the questions was, do you have a favourite theatre part you've played, a favourite role in theatre?
I think it probably would be, I did Gypsy in West End.
Yes.
In 2016, I think,
Yeah.
with Imelda Staunton. And that was hugely enjoyable because it's almost like both things. It's a musical, but it's also a very dramatic.
It is, yes.
An emotional play. So I think probably that would be my favourite part that I played.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. Before you go, I'm going to do my favourite rapid fire questions, you know, the nitty gritty, what people want to know. So, sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Working in TV or working in theatre?
Well, currently as I get older, working in TV, I'd say.
Hot or cold weather?
Cold.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
I told you this was the important stuff. Fantasies or dramas?
Fantasies or dramas?
Yes, dramas. Doctor Who or Tristan Thornton?
Oh, that's so difficult.
It's mean, isn't it?
I'll tell you why it's slightly difficult, because when I took over the part of the Doctor, All Creatures had been on, was very successful. I was on Pebble Mill at 1, which used to be this magazine program at lunchtime, and they got on a group of people, I don't know who they were, whether they were Doctor Who fans or whatever, but who they asked if they had any suggestions on how I should play Doctor Who. BBC obviously thought I needed help. So they went through and we got to the last one and he said, I think you should be like Tristan but brave. So that's sort of what I did. You know, so in a way it's a combination, so I'd probably say Tristan because that was the part from which all others
came from. Oh, fantastic, thank you for joining us. Can we have a round of applause, Peter Davison, please?
Thank you very much indeed. I don't mean to offend the Doctor Who fans here, which of course is 99% of you. But Tristan, I think, is sort of what's
I suppose you love every role when you're playing the role.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Are these still on? Yes, they're still turned on. Miracles do happen. Welcome to our second Q&A of the day with a fantastic Chris Barrie. A round of applause for Chris Barrie.
Thank you very much indeed. Great to be in Scarborough. I think I was here about 6 years ago, but it's just I'm so glad that they haven't done anything stupid like knock this building down, which some councils do these days. But yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. I've enjoyed the little my 2 days now in up north here has been absolutely fantastic. So great to be back.
You having a good time? Having a good day?
I'm having a very good day. Yes.
Your queue is very long.
And I'm sorry about everyone who, the wait that obviously happens, but, we will... I'll be here for as long as it takes.
That's nice. I promise I'll keep the short until we can get back to this dining table for you all. Now, you worked on Spitting Image for quite a few years.
I did.
Was that your first long time job?
Yeah, I suppose it was the first sort of main TV series that I was involved with. I did the Jasper Carrot show, Election Special, in 1983,
yeah.
And then I did the series. So I did, in 83, it was an election year, so I did, everyone watched that particular episode of Jasper Carrot, because the election, the polling stations closed. So it was a great audience to see me do impersonations of, not half of you here won't remember, but people, I did Robin Day. Does anyone remember Robin Day? And I did problems with his sinuses and Jim Gallard, all the this quite clear. The British government, and then Michael Foot, we on this side of the house. So there was a great audience watching that, because when they were preparing to do Spitting Image, they thought, well, this guy could be useful. So that's when I started Spitting Image, 84, 83, 84.
Yeah, you were there for a couple of years, Spitting Image.
I was there until about 1990, 91.
What did you learn from your time on Spitting Image? Was there anything that you took away from Spitting Image?
Well, the thing about Spitting Image was it was like making a, because it was puppets, you saw the sort of nuts and bolts of crafting comedy and characterizations and sketches, from start to finish. And the producer was a guy called John Lloyd, who was the producer of Blackadder, and I think he does QI now, and he's Not Line Top News. So he had a fantastic pedigree in comedy himself.
Yeah.
And just to watch him really build the show with the writers was just an education in itself. I always refer to that as my kind of apprenticeship, watching how he worked with the writers and thus the voice actors, and then the visuals, the puppets. And of course, two of the writers on Spitting Image were Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. So I got to know them face to face, pretty, on a professional level early on. And then they kindly invited me to be on a radio show called Summer Cliché, which they wrote, and in that there was sort of the beginnings of a Red Dwarf project that was heavily disguised as something else. But, so yeah, that was the early 80s for me. Yeah.
So what led you down the path to acting? And I know a lot of people go to acting school, or some people say, a lot of people when I interview them go, I was bad at school. Is also a popular answer.
Well, for me, I wasn't great at school, so I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I went up for various sort of things, and my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So I did all sorts of different jobs in London in 1980, 81, and I was just useless at them, or just again didn't do what I do. I was quite a good estate agent. I know they're not the most popular people in the world, estate agents. Sometimes they're very popular if they do everything for you, sort it out properly. But I was an estate agent. Things were going quite well. But then my mum said, you should get up, you should try and do your impersonations. And I was doing impersonations those days of infamy. They go, oh, we're going to infamy. Yeah. Oh yes. And then I started to do extraordinary 1-0. No, it's come out again. David Colman again. Half the audience won't remember this. Most of the people I impersonate at the time, I think apart from the Prince, King Charles, have now gone. So nothing tells you that you're aging more than So that was what I thought. I'll try the impersonations for a bit, and that's what led to the other great comedy producer of the day, Paul Jackson, seeing me at the Comedy Store. And then he knew me from, he'd seen me, and he I think at that point he was sort of thinking about doing something with Rob and Doug anyway. So yeah, and that's how it all fits. But yes, impersonations were, my mother really pointed out David, she saw this little headline, David Essex turns talent spotter. So I did the David Essex showcase in Harrogate. And that was quite interesting. So yeah, there we go.
Just thinking there, imagine if you bought a house from Chris Barrie. Chris Barrie sold you a house and that is literally your story to tell. That'd be amazing.
Yes, it was in London in 1980, 81, and most of the people I sold houses to were fairly hard-headed bastards, if I'm honest. But yeah, we had some very nice clients as well. But it was quite hard grind, but it was beginning to go well. I'm glad I came out and did impersonations and stuff, because I wouldn't swap, my life.
Just think, you could be the #1 retailer in the UK of selling houses.
Well, exactly. You just don't know how your life's going to go.
You don't know. So, how did the audition for Red Dwarf come about?
Well, having worked with Rob and Doug, they wanted to sort of, to try and search for the characters of Lister and Rimmer to start with. They auditioned people they kind of knew, who might be able to hit their marks. So I auditioned for Rimmer with Paul in front of Paul and Rob and Doug, and I can't remember who I read with, but it was I did Rimmer, and then I also did Lister as well, because I'm probably actually little known fact. I'm probably myself in my habits at home. I'm probably a bit more of a Lister than a Rimmer. In other words, as my wife always says, wherever you are in the house, it looks like a bomb sitter. You know? So I'm sort of there are elements of the sort of slobbiness, if you like, of Lister. But when I read, obviously the sort of anally retentive, up the ziggurat, toodle pipsky. Of Rimmer was more suited to me on the day, so that was the one. But then we were offered the job, and then we were told we weren't going to get the job, and two other actors were offered the job, and then they said they got that wrong, and we were then offered it again.
We're glad they got that wrong, because we couldn't imagine anyone else playing Rimmer.
Yeah, so am I.
What was the favourite thing about Rimmer for you?
I think my favourite thing about Rimmer is obviously overall he is the fall guy. He is the one who, he's great petrol for the comedy, if you like. There's always, he's always struggling. But the thing about his complicated past and background is there are more and more depths to Rimmer, which we discover every series.
Yes.
Initially, you just think he's a really annoying arse. He keeps getting things wrong and thinks that, he's much better than he is. And then you begin to discover as each series goes by why that could be the case, and that I think is the is my favourite aspect of Rimmer. A lot of people say, what's the difference between Brittus and Rimmer? Because Gordon Brittus obviously is another complete arse, but his arsishness comes from a different thing. It comes from a different end, really. His arsishness comes from a different end. Yes, that's my phrase of the day.
I bet no one thought they want to hear that today.
Yes, I'm getting my ends and my arses mixed up there. But then, basically, the end result is similar, but Brittus was told he was always brilliant at everything, whereas Rimmer was told he was never told he was good at anything. And that sort of ends up with two people that, are not going to be very good at management or high achievers.
What would you say that Rimmer's best and worst qualities are?
Well, Rimmer's worst qualities are everything, really. And his best ones, nil. But no, I don't think there are many good qualities, on the face of it. If you think about Marooned, he obviously it's more about Lister's good and bad qualities there in many ways. But no, I'd like to think that he does care, but it's usually for himself. But then you've got to look at who he's keeping company with.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the characters in Red Dwarf have that much of a saving grace. I think Lister probably somewhere in there has got a bit of a heart for prolonging his future, getting back to Earth and all that sort of thing. But Rimmer, Cat, I think they're out for themselves, really.
Cat definitely is.
New meaning to vanity.
Now, you were saying about Gordon Brittus. Now, that was one of the first things that I used to watch you in, because it was required viewing on the weekend. It would be on, and it's something about it. I just always got me. I loved it. So, is there any similarities between Gordon Brittus and Rimmer, apart from people disliking them?
What did I say? Yes, they're both arses, but from a different end. Well, yeah. I mean, the end result's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Gordon Brittus is, of course, he oozes confidence, even though he has completely destroyed the leisure centre last week. And he's got this unbreakable way of being right, but of course he can't deal with people. That's the thing.
I always wondered, how did he get that job? Who interviewed him? Well, I thought he'd be great.
I think it may be explained in one of the episodes where it's the chocolate teapot syndrome. Some people always promote someone that they know is never going to get their job. You see what I mean? They promote someone who's not the best, because once that person gets to be near them, then they might take their job.
Yeah.
So it's good sometimes to promote someone who's never going to be that good that they're going to get their job. And I think that was the case with British, you know, or the council, it was a council sort of leisure centre, and Councillor Druggett, I think, you know, and his committee members sort of promoted someone that was never going to threaten them, you know.
So one thing Gordon had was definitely confidence. He was very confident in his...
But one thing I always thought, people say, wouldn't it be great if Britus and Rimmer met? And I think it'd be great, because you imagine that, it would be there'd be shades of me squared in series 1. But it'll be, hello, nice to meet you, yes, what do you want? You don't want to put that there? No, don't put that there. What? Who is this person? You know, there could be some great friction, you know, between the two of them.
That would be great. Now, it's not just acting you have a love or passion for. You like classic motorbikes and classic cars as well.
That's true.
I did my research on this.
I've done my research,
Also,
yeah.
what is it about classic cars and classic bikes that makes you just love them?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a few people here who've got a bit of an interest in, you know, in classic cars and I don't know. Growing up, they're just sort of the cars of our lifetime, really. When I was born in 1960, and I just remember there being and I love, you know, whether it's an E-Type Jaguar or a sort of Ford Prefect. I don't know. I just like, you know, the world that they were in was the world I grew up in, and. You know, I just like the sound, the smell,
the engine.
Well, the engine, but the design and the whole sort of social structure. I mean, when I was 5, my father was in the army, and one of his colleagues had an E-Type Jag. And you know, my dad, he sort of offered to give my brother and I a ride in it down the A30 in 1965, very little traffic. And early in the morning, and my dad were in the family Ford Anglia. We sort of parked up outside the sort of pub, I think it was. And then this colleague of my dad drove us down the A30 and I remember about over 100, probably 105 miles an hour. Because the speedo on an E-Type was wavering like that, but he was Captain Cracks driving the car, sort of saying, yeah, we're doing about 105, 110 now, boys. And I was sitting on the transmission tunnel behind the...
Yeah.
It was a two-seater coupe. And my brother was there, and I was 5, so sitting there, you know, just watching speedo. And that just has stayed with me throughout my whole life. And that was the most thrilling thing, you know, I could have ever imagined. You know, it was amazing. And that's the sort of thing that... And the same with motorbikes, you know, the old bikes sound like to me proper bikes, you know, proper machinery. It's living, it's there, you've got to nurture it, you've got to, you know, they're living things. So I've just grown up loving them, you know.
Would you ever present like a full-on like car show? Like, would that ever be something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I did a series of documentaries, which was a great job for me, because I just loved everything from the steam locomotives to aircraft to, you know, you name it, lorries, you know, everything.
Steam engines.
Yeah, no, it was...
jet planes.
Yeah. But, you know, to do something now...
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'd... To be honest, Robert Llewellyn would be rather annoyed at me if he were here, but the electric vehicle thing doesn't quite appeal to me. Which you can understand.
If I said to you, what you do a series, but it's just on classic cars, that would be...
certainly consider it. Yeah.
But if they came to you and said, right, we need a new presenter for Top Gear, and you up for it?
Top Gear, at the moment, I'd consider that, but I just don't think they will. I don't think...
I think they should. You like cars, you're funny, you're entertaining, people would watch.
Yeah. Well... Well, it's very kind of everyone to say, but I think the moment may have passed. I don't want to put a negative spin on it, but yeah, I'd consider it if that phone call happened, or that email, or that tweet, or whatever you want to call it, happened.
What advice would you give to someone getting into acting now?
Well, I would say to anyone who wants to get into acting, you know, at the stage where you're getting into it, I'd say yes to everything. Sort of give yourself as much experience as you can at all different levels and all different sides of it, whether it's making little videos. And these days you can make films on your device, on an iPhone, you know.
You can, yes.
So, you know, there's plenty of opportunity. You can get stuff on YouTube, you can, you know, and you can do, there's plenty of little theatres around, you can do plays, and, you know, where it's really, you know, that's, I to be honest, doing stage work, do plays and things was never really, I did one tour of a play, never really my kind of bag, but certainly, yeah, say yes to everything, whether it's a bit of singing, a bit of dancing, a bit of acting, in any of the mediums, then just do it, you know?
Awesome, thank you. And before we go, I'd like to do something called rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you to make a choice from two things I ask you.
I hate this.
So, you know, this is the nitty-gritty stuff, what people really want to know. Right, you ready? Prepared?
There may be, okay, go on.
There's only a few.
Yes.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Classic cars or classic bikes? Yeah.
Classic cars.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Steam engine, petrol engine?
Steam engine.
Reading or watching TV?
Reading.
Eating in or going out?
Eating in.
Finally, Rimmer or Gordon Brittas?
Pass.
Oh, he's going to leave you hanging, people. He's going to leave you hanging. Thank you so much to the fantastic Chris Barrie, everyone.
Thank you.
So they were kind of happening at the same time. But they were able to do a lot of things in that we just couldn't even dream of doing in the first movie, you know, using the technology to blend backgrounds and see more puppets fall like. I think Jim would have been really excited because he was all about the technology and what that could allow him to do. And he was always years ahead of what was available to him. So I think he would have really loved that actually. And they had a second series that they were ready to go with, but I think the numbers weren't quite there and it was quite an expensive show. So I believe that's kind of what stopped them. But I think it was a good idea to go to series rather than film because they can develop so much more with the characters. And, you know, I think it was a good solution. So. And then there was somebody else, there was one more somewhere. Yeah, back there. Run! Here comes Joe.
Thank you for all your hard work. I wondered if there was ever a great scene you was involved with that never quite made it to air. If you could tell us something about it.
I only had half that.
So anything that you did that didn't make it to air,
Tell us a bit about it.
we want to know a bit about it.
Didn't make it to air. No, I don't think so. I mean, there are things we did that, little things that don't quite make it, but usually time is so valuable that, you know, and they spend so much money on it, they're going to find a way of using it sooner or later. Nothing really comes to mind. The things that we've done that haven't made it. There is some stuff that I can't remember. So, and that's the thing, you know, there are some great things that you do that just come and go and you never remember again, whereas things like Star Wars live on forever. So, I mean, perhaps some of my best work is gone forever too. It's quite possible. That's a good excuse, isn't it? Oh yeah, all my best stuff doesn't exist anymore. At least you know it's rubbish. Yeah.
Yeah, that wraps it up.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah, that wraps it up.
That wraps it up.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you again, everyone. Big round of applause for me.
Joe, what a fantastic, you've got the job. Hey! I won't say which job. Okay, I'm leaving now. Embarrassing, I'm leaving.
Can I get another big round of applause for all of our guests today? It's lovely being able to get every one of them up on stage to be able to do Q&A sessions, because there are times where there's stuff that you guys want to know and maybe you don't get a chance when you're at the table, so it's always handy. Our guests are here until 5 p.m. and Chris has said he will wait until you've all been seen. So please be patient. I know it's been a long wait for you guys, but as you can see, he's incredibly popular, and as I always think, it's better to have a meet and greet with a guest that's going to be memorable than a quick rush on, rush off job. So please be patient, and thank you for your patience.